Good afternoon and welcome to WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, and it is Memorial Day weekend. Wow. I want you to take some time this weekend to really think about those in your family, your loved ones who served in the military and who gave their lives in service to this country. That's why we celebrate Memorial Day, to remember those people, many of them who are buried particularly over at Arlington Cemetery and so many other places. And, it's a time when we go out and we celebrate, we have picnics and all this other stuff, which is really great. But, we're honoring those who have given so much service. Given the ultimate to serve this country, and that is their lives. So I want to make sure that we remember that as we go into the weekend. And speaking of parks, I just wanted to let you all know that I just found out that DC is known for its trees and its parks, so much so that it's been named the best city park system in the United States by the Trust for Public Lands. And, a lot of these parks run through our neighborhoods. We've got like Rock Creek Park and Marvin Gaye Park and Anacostia Park and Oxen Run Park, and places where we know we will all be out there this weekend celebrating Memorial Day. So it just makes DC a great place to live. And we're so glad that you all are here and spending some time with us today watching WIN TV. If you're watching us on Facebook, we want you to like us. If you're following us on Twitter, please continue to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I hope that you picked up the most recent issue of the Washington Informer, which you can read online on our digital edition. And if you go to the website at washingtoninformer.com, we certainly do hope that you will decide to subscribe to our e-newsletter, which goes out daily. And we have so many more things that we're going to offer. And this week in the Washington Informer is also our monthly WI Bridge publication. That is published by Lafayette Barnes and the team of millennials who write this publication and for and about millennials. And I like to read it myself. And so this month, they're focusing on creative space. Great issues. So make sure you pick up a copy of the Informer or visit us at washingtoninformer.com or wibridgedc.com. In addition, at the end of the show, the bridge takes over. So as you're watching us, remember to stay back and see what they have with the media prints and also sounds of the DMV. In our show this week, we're closing out Mental Health Awareness Month with Dr. Barbara Bazron, who is the director of the DC Department of Behavioral Health. It's also Older Americans Month. So we'll have joining us today, Kathy Pointer, director of the Kingdom Care Senior Village in Southeast DC, and a senior who is very, very dear to my heart, Vera Abbott. She will be joining us as well. We have a number of Washington Informer subscribers and supporters, believe it or not, all the way down, and I shouldn't say all the way down, but down in Charles County, Maryland. Folks on the other side of the city call DC down there, and we're calling Charles County down there, but Charles County, Maryland, and we're going to have the Charles County Commissioner President Reuben Collins II with us to talk about what's great in the county. And so many residents have really sort of migrated from the district to Prince George's and now to Charles County. So we want to find out what's going on in Charles County. And then taking us into the month of June, where we will be honoring Black men, but particularly Black fathers. We have joining us Panama Jackson, co-founder of the award-winning blog, VerySmartBrothers.com, and journalist, author, and educator, Jesse Holland, here to talk about a virtual town hall they're hosting on Zoom on June 6th. You don't want to miss that conversation. So before we bring on our first guest, we're going to have our weekly broadcast by our reporter, Curtis Knowles, and I'll be back in just a second.
This is Curtis Knowles reporting with WIN TV News. The pharmaceutical company Moderna has announced Tuesday that its coronavirus vaccine was 100% effective in adolescents 12 to 17 and is seeking emergency use approval from the FDA this coming month. Moderna would be the second company after Pfizer and BioNTech to get clearance for adolescents. No cases of the virus were observed in its trial runs, and no side effects have been identified either. Kristen Clark is set to be the first Black woman to head the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. The Senate voted on Tuesday 51 to 48. Responsibilities of the position involve enforcing federal statutes prohibiting discrimination based on race, color, and sex. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stated that Clark's assignment is poignant as it falls on the anniversary of George Floyd's murder. President Biden is directing $1 billion towards FEMA for extreme weather preparation. The commitment marks a 100% increase over existing funding levels. The budget increase is going towards the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Committees program, which provides support to different level entities in preparation efforts. Tuesday was the anniversary of George Floyd's murder by the police. His family visited the White House and spoke with President Biden and Vice President Harris. President Biden has expressed hope that the George Floyd Justice and Police Act, which will feature stringent new police laws and has been currently passed by the House of Representatives, to be fully passed by this anniversary. However, the bill has been stalled in the Senate. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Thank you, Curtis. We appreciate those updates. And we have one more that we wanted to share with you. You know, we heard some great news this weekend from Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has fulfilled its commitment of doing equity investments in $50 million in Black-owned banks across this country. And the sad thing about it's a great thing, but the sad thing about it is, you know, there were once about 100 Black-owned banks in the United States. Now we're down to about 20. But Wells Fargo is making an equity investment in 13 of those banks, and 2 of them just happen to be in the Washington area. One is Industrial Bank, and we've spoken with B. Doyle Mitchell, the president of Industrial, who's very happy to have this relationship, and also Harbor Bank, which is in Baltimore. But we had a chance to speak with Gigi Dixon, representative from Wells Fargo this week, to find out why, in fact, did they decide to make this equity investment. And so we want to share with you her comments with us.
Wells Fargo has committed $50 million in equity investment for MDIs, or Minority Depository Institutions. It means a lot for these institutions. These institutions are legacies in the Black community, and our goal is to drive them forward very significantly so that there's a long-term impact that continues in the communities that they serve. These minority depository institutions, or Black banks as we call them, these Black banks have been around for a long time. Several of them are over 100 years old, which is a legacy in the Black community. The banks focus on all kinds of banking products and services, and were established at a time, quite frankly, Denise, when Black people just didn't have access to banking. And so today, when we still continue to look across the landscape, and we understand that disproportionately African Americans in Black communities have a lack of access to capital, small businesses, minority-owned businesses disproportionately struggle to have access to capital. These Black banks serve as yet another platform for providing that access in responsible and meaningful ways for the Black community. These banks are the ones that finance our churches in our communities. They provide auto loans, deposits, community development loans, just to build out those communities where they live and work.
Thank you, Gigi Dixon, for sharing that with us. And the conversation went on a lot longer, and she shared many other reasons why Wells Fargo is making this investment in these 13 Black-owned banks. And also, she talked about the troubles that Wells Fargo has faced over the years, and the way that they're, she says, not necessarily making amends, but trying to do the right thing. So we were happy to actually share that news with you, and we should be seeing some great things coming out of Industrial Bank. For those of us, I know you all are banking in Industrial. If you haven't, I mean, we talk about what's happening with Black-owned banks in general, but we need to be supporting Black-owned banks ourselves and making those deposits as long as we want them to continue to survive and thrive. And we want to see those numbers go up. If they can creep back up to 100, that would be great. Down to 20 means that we have to do our part to make those investments. That's enough of my preaching right now. So I'm going to move on, because I am so glad that we can bring on now Dr. Barbara Bazron, who is the director of the DC Department of Behavioral Health. because this is Mental Health Month. And Dr. Bazron, are you with us? Okay.
Yes, hi.
There you are. Good.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you for being with us. And it's the end of Mental Health Month, but we know that this is not the end of a period of time, particularly during this pandemic, when we're facing a lot of mental health issues. Dr. Bazron, I know your cup is full, but I just wanted to get you on to talk to us about, your role as the director of the Department of Behavioral Health, and what you all have been up to this month to particularly bring attention to the issues of mental health in the District of Columbia.
Yes, thank you. But one of the things that I'd like to start by saying is that this may be Mental Health Month, but we really have to mind our mental health every day, all year long, because mental wellness is a critical part of overall wellness. As director of the Department of Behavioral Health, I'm responsible for managing a full range of behavioral health services and supports for residents within the District of Columbia. We provide services and supports for everyone from children, youth, adults, and older adults. So we cross the age range spectrum. In addition to that, I want to make sure that you understand that we also provide prevention, intervention, treatment, and recovery services for both individuals with mental health issues, as well as those with substance use disorders and co-occurring disorders. It is right now, it is so critical that we mind our mental health. If you look at the recent data that's coming out of the studies like the one that was conducted by Kaiser Family Foundations, over 53% of adults and 30% of youth are experiencing mental health distress as a result of the pandemic. So we have to really address this issue. And I'm happy to be able to share with you some of the things that we're doing.
Especially when, I think what's happening now, we've seen a lot. For those of us in the city, we know gun violence is up, assaults are up. There's a lot of negative behavior taking place all across the nation, but here in the nation's capital. We've seen a lot of drug addiction, that seems to be increasing, and alcohol use seems to be on the rise. But I don't know if people know at what point they realize that they need help, and what the Department of Behavioral Health can actually do to provide that help.
Yes, first of all,
hotline, what can people do?
Yes, well, first of all, one of the things that I need to say is that all of us have had some impacts in terms of our mental well-being as a result of the pandemic. We have had the disruption of our normal routines. We've had social isolation, economic loss, and loss of life have all taken its toll on us within our society. And so it's really important for us to understand that even if we have those experiences, we can reach out to the Department of Behavioral Health and get services and supports. We have a 24/7 mental health hotline, and the number is reflected there on the screen. Individuals can call that number any time of the day or night and get in contact with a licensed clinician that can help you in terms of dealing with the stress and distress that you might feel. If you need more, then they can connect you to one of our 80 community-based providers within the community for ongoing care. I think that one of the things that it is so important for people to understand is that when they call the mental health hotline, they don't have to sign up They don't have to give their name. It is totally confidential, and they can get 3 follow-up visits without ever having to enroll in mental health services within the Department of Behavioral Health. So it's low barrier, confidential, and easy to access.
And what about cost?
There is no cost related to this service. Anyone within the District of Columbia can get this service free of charge.
One of the things too, Dr. Bazron, when our office moved over here to Martin Luther King Avenue many years ago, we noticed that there were a lot of places, particularly if there were drug problems or what have you, that there were places in the community where folks could just walk in because you had service providers. Does that exist anymore? I mean, sometimes people are more desperate than wanting to make a phone call. They actually want to go in and talk to somebody right now because they're experiencing, a mental health crisis. Are there like community places where folks can go for help?
In fact, there's one right near your office. Hillcrest is right very close to you. And you can walk directly in and you can get services from those organizations. And so I think that that's extremely important. We also have substance use disorder services providers that are located throughout the city. One of the things that I want to emphasize is that you can go and you can get services for us from both mental health as well as substance use services. We have walk-in services also available at 35 K Street. I think most of you know where that's located. You can see a psychiatrist immediately the same day. We have a full pharmacy there. So if you need medication, you could get that. You can get a full assessment. We also have an urgent and same-day service for children and youth, which is located at Howard Road, which is right next to the metro there. You can walk in there, and you can also get immediate same-day services and supports. So there are, in addition to our core service agencies and our substance use providers, we also have the government operated agencies that are available to you.
I must admit, when I went to your website, it was like looking under a Christmas tree. I said, oh my goodness, there are so many services that the Department of Behavioral Health offers to district residents. And we at the Informer thought it was very, very important to help to get the word out that folks are not alone, that they don't have to go through crises alone. Some folks have asked, and we just got something in the chat about an address again. Maybe it was the 35 K Street address. I'm not sure.
It's 35 K Street Northeast.
Northeast. Okay.
K Street Northeast.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, schools are going to be open. Hopefully they'll reopen fully in the fall. Are there mental health services provided within schools? I know that there's a lack of nurses, but I'm wondering what will we do with our kids? Because that's where people really see the problems with our children.
Well, absolutely. And I want to talk about a couple of the services that we offer. First of all, we have our school-based behavioral health care program provides clinicians in the schools, in our public schools, and that's public schools and public charter schools. And those clinicians have been working virtually throughout the pandemic and will resume operation within schools once schools begin. And they offer prevention, intervention, and treatment services and supports for the children and youth that are there. However, there are some other services that we have developed as a part of the pandemic, which parents have found to be extremely useful. We have a parent support program that offers a virtual family support group called Wellness Wednesdays. Wellness Wednesdays are conducted every Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30. You can join by going to our website, and it is operated in both English as well as in Spanish. So I think that is extremely important for parents to note. Over 1,000 parents have taken part in Wellness Wednesdays. Also, here again, family members can call that 1-888-7-WE-HELP number and get direct one-on-one support and services. I also, if I might, don't want people to not understand that we also have an array of services and supports for individuals with substance use disorders. Because you know that people who have substance use problems are more apt to relapse.
Exactly.
Or to self-medicate when there's this stress. And so I'd like everybody now who's listening to, on their cell phone, right now text Live Long DC to 888-111. And when you do that, you're going to get a map of all the locations where you can get free naloxone. Naloxone is a life-saving reversal drug that if somebody overdoses, you can simply spray it in the nostrils and revive them. And that's a way of saving a life.
Wow.
So
can you repeat that? Can you repeat that number?
It's Live Long DC to 888-111. This is critically important because the life you save may be your own. This is what naloxone looks like. And you can get this free of charge from a pharmacy. And if you do that, you'll be able to find out where to go. And essentially all you do is you take the plunger, push when somebody has overdosed, and it can help to revive them. This is extremely important. We want to help people get into recovery and get substance use services, but they have to be here to do that.
Right.
So I think it's very, very important that we do that.
Dr. Bazron, we're going to have to run, but I am so, we could talk all day long because, you know, this is a very serious problem, and I'm glad that we got you in before the month was over. But as we know, mental health problems happen every single day of our lives and different people in our communities and our families. But I want to thank you so much. I know you have a busy day as well. So thank you for sharing that information. We'll continue to share. You wanted to close out with something?
Yes, and I would just say thank you. And remember, the Department of Behavioral Health is here for you. Call 1-888-7-WE-HELP. Thank you.
All right.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Be safe. We appreciate you. That was important. And if you got this information, make sure that you share it with, for, you know, your friends, your family, whoever else. I mean, the Department of Mental Health, go to the website. It's amazing, the services that the district offers for people who are having mental health issues. So we hope that you will look out for those resources and use them, not just look at them, but use them. So, you know, this month is also Older Americans Month. And so we didn't want the month to go by without spending some time talking about DC's older American or older population, which is growing by the minute because I'm now a member of that population. And Sherry, you are too, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's the aim. If we can take care of our physical health and our mental health, we can go into, you know, our older years stronger and better. And it's evident that that's what's happening. Even during COVID, I think it really tested, you know, the vitality of our seniors. And we're going to talk to Kathy Pointer, Director of Kingdom Care Senior Village, to talk about a little bit about the Senior Village. Ms. Pointer, thank you for being with us. Can we get you off of mute?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you for having me today.
All right, and I'm also happy to introduce one of the most vibrant seniors I have met in my entire life, and I've watched her become one and admired how she has transitioned. She's been a real role model for me, and that's Vera Abbott, who's with us as well. And I'm very blessed to say that this is my mother.
Wow.
Welcome to WIN TV, Miss Abbott.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Miss Abbott was actually, instrumental, Ms. Pointer, for asking me to invite you on, because I know that there are villages all over the city, and I was hoping we'd first start by having you to tell us what the senior villages are and how they operate.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me today, and good to see you, Ms. Vera. The senior villages is a concept that started many years ago. It actually started in the Boston area, and it's really, the basis initially was kind of members or neighbors taking care of neighbors. It's kind of evolved more into now our goal is to help seniors to age in place, that they may stay in their homes as long as possible through resources, connection resources, through services that the villages provide. And we look at ourselves as just one of many organizations in DC that takes care of seniors, because there's something for everybody. So the village concept is there for seniors who are not ready for maybe a wellness center or a community residence kind of place, but they do want to connect with other seniors, and there needs to be a place where they can get resources. I just believe that not only do seniors deserve the resources, I believe they've earned the right to all the resources across the city, and then being connected to a village, we're able to also provide them with some of that support and a little more hands-on support as well.
And I think one of the things that I've observed, and I want Ms. Abbott to talk about this as well, is that, a lot of your seniors that are involved with the villages are still pretty independent.
Yes.
So they find ways to talk about what their needs are. And then you all are actually, have to go and make sure those needs are fulfilled. And Ms. Abbott, you've been involved with the Senior Village program for many years, actually before we even had a senior village over here in Ward 8. Tell us what you know about senior villages and why you think they're so important.
Well, I can only add that what I call a Reuben Pointer. I hope that's okay. What she said, but through AARP, I became familiar with the villages. And I never joined one until the Kingdom Care Senior Village was established.
And I might add that you were also a founder of an AARP chapter over here in Ward 8. You've always been really sort of on the forefront of making sure that the issues of seniors are expressed, and also, the seniors can speak up for themselves. So, I mean, tell me how you and Reverend Pointer work together to make sure that, services are provided.
Well, I primarily attend the seminars and so forth. When I first met Reverend Pointer, she needed an office space. So I contacted a good friend, Mr. Finest Jones, who's in property management, and they became business associates. And come to find out, I believe they're both from the same hometown in Mississippi. So Reverend Pointer has always been, they're both so delighted that they have the office space. But anyway, that's primarily with the senior. They're always so wonderful with delivering groceries and whatnots for seniors to enjoy, like puzzles and musicals on the video. So I think Reverend Pointer and her colleagues are doing a marvelous job with our senior village. And I also, Denise, would like to mention, let's talk about the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center. Mm-hmm. That was established years ago. I called her Mother Williams, the former mayor's mother, Mrs. Williams. And many of us here in Ward 8, we wrote our names on the building structures there. Mm-hmm. So if you tear the building down, you can see our names.
Wonderful. I want
So,
I want to get Reverend Pointer back in really quick because I want to talk about. I mean, what kind of services does Kingdom Care provide and some of the other villages, and why should people reach out to their senior village?
As I mentioned, Denise, I think it's a alternative to some of their support services, or another option rather. And we provide a number of different services. We do have, as you said, a lot of vibrant seniors. So again, they're not ready to really settle in any kind of facility, but it provides an opportunity, whether we're going on trips or we definitely had to transition during COVID, as everybody else did, to virtual activities. So we provide workshops and seminars. We have done a lot of training on Zoom to get our seniors familiar with Zoom. For those who didn't have tablets, we reached out to make sure they get tablets and get the training. For some of our seniors who may be homebound and don't have family members, just doing wellness checks on any given month. And I did see one of our coordinators online. I think last month we made over 100 wellness calls. We're calling them all the time, checking in. What do you need? What kind of support do you need? And I think what's really vital is what you said also, Denise. What the senior village allows us to do is focus on the senior, the individual, because everybody has individual needs. So sometimes we're able, depending on, again, our resources or what we have available, but we can really support that senior. As you said, Ms. Vera, she's very vibrant. It may not need the same thing as all other seniors need, but whatever that is, we're able to provide some of that support. If they're just coming home from rehab or the hospital, we have a limited time where we will deliver home meals to them. We have a personal chef we work with, and he prepares meals and out delivering today to make sure that if they're home, that we can do that for a limited time as well. Always with everything else is limited by our resources, but we certainly try to meet the needs of our seniors. One last thing I do want to add, when you talk about the village concept, they're all different. And what we try to do is focus on our community, focus on the needs of our members, and not try to model necessarily what we see across the city or nationwide, but really focus on the needs of those that we need to serve.
Quickly, Reverend Pointer, let me also ask you, how are your needs met? Who supports the senior village?
Well, we have lots of volunteers, and not lots, but we have a crew of volunteers. And actually, I wanted to put that plug in. We really need volunteers because the model itself is sustained by volunteers, because we need volunteers to go out and do the deliveries and make the calls and just do the support, all the types of things that are needed. Our initial funding came from Director Laura Newland, then it was the Office on Aging. And they still support us in a great way. We've had some support through, as Ms. Vera said, through Mr. Finance Jones, and a couple of his business partners got together and they gave us some funding during COVID to help us do some things. Attorney Reuben has supported us. So individuals support us. And we, again, a lot of it. Also our church. I do want to say my pastor, Kerry Pointer Jr. in the Greater Fellowship Church gives us the space, the supplies, all that we need, and supports us in a great way. That's the only way we would have been able to start. And one last thing, I just want to again thank Ms. Vera. She has been so instrumental, been there from day one, and her attitude was, we're not going to let you fail. So I thank her and Mr. Bobo and Ms. Hare and some others who rallied around us to make sure we were successful.
Nothing like giving no shout outs. Let me ask before we close, and I'll have one more question for Ms. Abbott, but are there, if someone is interested in finding a senior village in their community, be there in DC, Maryland, Virginia, is there a central place they can look to find out if there's a village that serves their community?
Yes, they can. They can go to the Department on Aging and Community Living. There's a map there, and it will show them exactly where the villages are. And also we have a collaborative of villages in the city. And we have a website as well, and it's slipping my mind.
But what about outside of the city? Let's say, because we have viewers that are in, Maryland or Virginia. How would they find their villages? Do you know?
Yeah, well, for the DC metropolitan area, I'm also a board member, as a matter of fact, vice president of the board for the village, village-wide, our regional villages. So we have a wide website there, and I really apologize. I don't have that email address, that website address at the moment, but I can get that out as well. But that one shows all the Washington area villages that are available.
All right. Well, for those who want to know, we'll get that information for you and try to get it up before the show ends. So keep watching in order to get that. And Ms. Abbott, I just wanted to say to you really quickly, I know you are itching to say something as well, but I want to say that, you know, you have handled the pandemic very well. You know, you use your notebook. Now you got your iPad. You know, the first message I ever got on Facebook in my entire life came from you. I was shocked, but I mean, that was what, 7, 8 years ago. And you sent me a note on Facebook, and I'm thinking, how does she know Facebook? And so, you know, you've always been in front of the curve, and you've got a birthday coming up next month. You want to share which one that is?
Oh, I will be 88 June 11th. And I'm so proud to say the city will be opening up as well on June 11th.
And I know you can't wait.
Right. But you see, my darling daughter, you provided me with that Facebook. I had to learn how to use it.
Oh, well, you did that on your own, and you've done it well. And everybody that's your Facebook friend knows that you are very busy on Facebook. And please respond.
Okay. One thing I would like to add, if I may.
Yes.
I am Vera Abbott. I'm your mother.
Yes.
And I was married to Dr. Calvin before he was a Dr. Calvin Rolark. I just want to put that on the record.
On the record, make it clear.
On the record. And my second marriage was to Abbott. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Well, I'm going to tell folks to read it in the book. Because the whole story will come out in the book.
Right.
All right.
In that book since I came to Washington, D.C. in 1952.
That's right.
I've been writing that book. I still haven't finished it.
Don't worry, we'll get it done. Thank you. And maybe that's one of the jobs the Senior Village might be able to help with, is getting those stories told. And we'd love to work with you on that. So,
yes,
all right.
Moses.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. I tell you, I mean, you can't cut your mama off, right? Because it's like, she's got more authority over me than I do over her. So she cut me off. Anyway, I'm so glad that she was on, and you know, we just have to do what we can to you know, take care of our family members, and the more we do for them, the more that they will be able to, you know, do for themselves. So anyway, thank you. Happy birthday. So now we're going to move on. Boy, this has been quite a great program for me. And I'm also excited now to bring on Commissioner President Charles Reuben Collins. We have a short video, and then we'll be right back.
Want to find some of the freshest food around? Check out both the Town of La Plata and Waldorf's farmers markets. During the season, you'll find a variety of local produce, including fresh fruits and vegetables and more, from arts and crafts to popcorn treats. Want to go down on the farm? Charles County has a variety of working farms where you can purchase goods and enjoy farming-related recreational activities.
Commissioner Reuben, how are you?
Hello, how are you? It's an honor to be here today representing Charles County.
Wonderful, wonderful. I told you back in the day when we used to print our newspaper, I was down in Charles County at least 4 times a week, and really kind of liked what I saw, but never knew, you know, that you were a native of Charles County. Is that correct?
No, actually, I'm part of one of the early migrations.
Okay, all right.
I was actually born in the Parklands area of the District of Columbia. My family moved to Charles County when I was about 6 years old. And consistent with that movement, at that time, a lot of families that were living in the district migrated to Prince George's County primarily. But we moved a little further out because my father was a public school teacher in Charles County Public Schools. So, I mean, my heart and soul will always be with the district, but yeah, we moved to Charles County, and the Charles County that I moved to is entirely different than the Charles County we see today.
How so? Tell us what's changed.
I mean,
you represent the change, but tell us how.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, just having this discussion is a reflection of that change. Charles County and the 2020 census will show clearly that our community is one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest, majority African American population in the entire nation. Our population broken down by race is approximately 50.6% African American. The median income in Charles County at the present time is almost $104,000. That number was around 87,000 in 2010. And so what makes what's happening in Charles County unique is not only is the community becoming a browner community, it's also becoming a more highly educated and wealthier population.
And then taking that road, that trip down 301, I mean, it's almost like a virtual, not a virtual, but, you know, an extended mall, because there's so many businesses from the Prince George's County line all the way down to Charles County. How has that happened? What has it, I mean, I think the economics is one that, of course, people know that there are folks with the income to support those businesses, but how did that growth happen?
A lot of it's primarily because 301 is a major artery connecting the state of Virginia to the district and the Washington metropolitan area. And through the years, Charles County was actually known in many places as being like a similar to Las Vegas. It was called the Las Vegas of the East at one point. Now, a lot of people don't want to recall that history, but you know, gambling was a big part of the economy, and back in the day when people would drive to Charles County to go to, not casinos, but to play
slot machines.
The slot.
Had a lot of slots, right?
Exactly. I couldn't think.
I do.
But yeah,
remember.
I mean, and those are some of my earliest memories too. And I mean, I was a kid, and I remember you would go almost anywhere, and there was slot machines.
That's right.
So, but yeah, but a lot of that was an offshoot of that. Through the years, because of our economy and because of the proximity to the District of Columbia, you're seeing more development associated to Charles County gradually becoming more a part of the metropolitan region.
So, and with that, how does that happen? Because a lot of times when we hear on issues related either to crime or transportation or development, we know that the district, Baltimore, I mean, as far away as Baltimore, but Montgomery, in the local surrounding counties seem to be at the table. Are you at the table as well?
We consider ourselves the new member. We are proud of the relationships we've built through the years with Prince George's County, particularly. Within the last decade, Charles County has become a member of the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. And so we've become more of a regional player. That still doesn't take us away from our roots as part of the Southern Maryland region. But we're in a unique position to continue to build upon, our proximity to the district. I mean, at the northernmost end, Charles County is 18 miles from the District of Columbia. So we are within that area. One of the things I wanted to share, a significant amount of the growth in this county has come from residents that have moved directly from the district and are from Prince George's County. And that's why what we see with the growth in the county, we see, our county becoming a more highly educated community. And that's something that whenever I have the opportunity, I really want to make that point, because too often the impression is given that when a community becomes brown or somehow that's a negative. And, and sometimes that thinking seeps into the thinking of the people themselves. And so I really want to make that clear that we're proud of seeing our community becoming more diverse.
And so when you talk about highly educated, I want to talk about schools as well. I mean, because I guess you're home growing those those educated residents of the county. But talk to me about the school system, because that's what people think about when they're either leaving the district or Prince George's. A lot of those families are looking for a good school district. Does yours qualify as good?
We would say absolutely it qualifies as being a good school system, but we don't want to limit our thinking to just being a good school system. We want to be on par with those public school systems in our region that have been distinguished, such as Fairfax County, their public school system, and Montgomery County. We want to be at that higher echelon. I mean, we are competitively one of the better systems in the entire region. And that is a factor. When you talk to individuals that move to Charles County, they reference the fact that we have a solid school system, but we want to be on par with those jurisdictions that have been distinguished as being the top in the metropolitan Washington region.
Let's talk a little bit about business too, because during this pandemic, strangely enough, but I think a good thing is that there's been an increase of individuals, particularly African Americans, who are establishing businesses. What's the climate down there for Black-owned businesses in the county, for those who are looking to open businesses down there? Are you all providing opportunities, and what's the landscape look like?
We have prioritized the development of our minority business community. Certainly, a factor in that is recognizing the overall growth of the county. We want to be considered a business-friendly community, but we're at those baby step stages of really putting in context the type of business, a community that would put us on par with many of our partners in the metropolitan region. One of the things I'm very excited about that was a part of this administration was the county investing in doing an actual disparity study. As you know, a disparity study is extremely important to ensure that our procurement process provides opportunities for minority business owners that are seeking to do business with the county. And so making that commitment is something that we're very excited about. During the course of COVID, we've invested a considerable amount of dollars, primarily through the COVID relief funding, to create grants and opportunities for small business owners. And many of our minority businesses in the county are more so in service industries. And so our restaurants in particular were heavily hit. And so we set aside resources to ensure that these businesses would stay afloat. And so we're proud of the impact that I believe we've had in, as best we could, limit the number of businesses that ended up closing shop. But I really wanted to highlight the fact that with this disparity study, we believe this will provide more opportunities for those that are interested in doing business in our county, particularly minority firms, to take advantage of that and to thrive.
So one of the things I definitely wanted to ask, because I keep calling you Commissioner President, and I want you to I guess, describe or define for our viewers why you carry the two titles. And in Charles County, that's equivalent to, I guess, what also Brooks is in Prince George's. Explain that, the Commissioner President title.
No, that's a great question. Our form of government, which is called Code Home Rule, operates under a commissioner body. That is different than a charter form of government, which you see like in Montgomery County and Prince George's County, where you have an actual county executive. It's similar somewhat in scope, but in terms of actual authority, it's a little different. But in terms of being the highest elected county-wide official, being president of the commissioner board, that would be me, and that would be the title.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. I wanted people to know that we, we have the top person. I was going to say the top man, but who knows? This
Let's say the
discussion could be
person.
a woman.
Right.
The
Right.
top person in Charles County. And, before you go, I was going to put you on the spot and tell us what's your favorite Black-owned restaurant down there. But I don't want to get you in trouble
Yeah.
unless
No, please.
unless you just want to offer that. But I do want you to do a commercial though for the county. Tell us why would folks from DC or Prince George's or any place in the region want to come to Charles County? What not only to live but just to come down and just to visit.
We're proud of our county being one of the most diverse communities in the entire nation. We're proud that within the amenities that exist within this county, whether you like a more urban type setting, we have areas of interest for you, or if you're looking for a more rural type landscape, where you want to kind of settle down and maybe take advantage of those areas of the county near the water, we provide those opportunities for you. And what we're seeing as time has passed is a full appreciation of that diversity within the landscape of Charles County. So come everyone, we're excited and we look forward to seeing our partners from the district and from Prince George's County, Montgomery County, coming to see what Charles County has for you. Thank you.
All right, come on down. So Commissioner President Reuben Collins II, thank you so very much for being with us. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Please.
All right.
I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're winding it up. Going down to Charles County. There might be some fun stuff, especially, we talked about you saw those fresh fruits and vegetables and the farmers markets. And you can also, I think they have Nordstrom's or all those other places that people like to go and shop. But yeah, it's right in our backyard. So let's enjoy and let's have fun. We're going to now bring, I think, two individuals that I'm really excited to talk to, Panama Jackson and Jesse Holland. How are you gentlemen doing?
Doing well.
Doing great. Glad to meet you.
Always glad to see some great things, particularly Black men are doing, and you all are like unequivocally saying this is what we're doing for our Black men and boys. And you've introduced a program called The Talk. It's about Black male power. And you've got a town hall that's coming up on June the 6th. Tell us why you all decided to do this at this time.
Well, I'll just say that I've been living in the world of the Black Panther for a while. I've written a couple of Black Panther books, including my most recent, Black Panther Tales of Wakanda. And one of the things that we don't talk about when we talk about the Black Panther is the relationship between T'Chaka, who was the king, and T'Challa, who was the son. That whole story revolves around the relationship between a son and his father. So as we move into the summer, especially as Father's Day comes up, we want to bring some Black fathers together and talk about what it's like being a Black father in America right now and what lessons we can pass down to our children.
Interesting. Panama, you're right here in Southeast in Ward 8.
Yes,
Where we often talk about the absence of fathers, but we never talk about the presence of fathers. And so, again, tell us, what this program means to you and why you've decided to engage in this at this time.
Yeah, two things. I'll start with the second one first. Obviously, conversations like this with other Black men that I know and respect, who I think are doing the work in the community to enlighten and engage and just, put out positive imagery and positive discussions. I'm there all day, every day. But in terms of the interesting narrative of fathers being absent, I had this conversation with my brother Jesse here and some other folks yesterday about, I live here in Southeast. My daughter was in one of the schools here in Southeast, and I remember being unfortunately surprised at just how present Black fathers were at school, picking up their kids, dropping them off. Like I I hate that I was somebody who got caught up in the whole stereotype myself, and I don't know, made myself exceptional or whatever. But like there's black dads everywhere. In fact, in my neighborhood, every single day, you see black dads in their best, their flyest New Balance, pushing their kids around in strollers. Like we probably could start like a black dad stroller group in my neighborhood alone. It would be the strangest collection of black men of all time. But it could happen, and it would be entertaining. And it just speaks to the fact that, people like to live on narrative, but there's a difference between what you feel and what's real. And what's real is that in a lot of these places that we downplay the significance and the presence of black males, we're there all day, every day in all the same places that we're supposed to be.
I've witnessed that, and I'm not like that. I'd love to see that stroller brigade. I think that would be a great thing to cover. And we see that you started off, Jesse, talking about what we see in films. One of my favorites, folks couldn't understand why, was Barbershop. Right. I mean, here you had a grandson. This was a barbershop that passed 2 generations, and then it ended. I don't know if it'll ever come back, because he had a son, right? That's the last episode, I think, when there was another child. But it was all about the legacy of the men in the family and the barbershop and the men that came into those barbershops and the issues that they talked about. I mean, tell us how you feel media has helped to perpetrate this myth or whatever of the black father.
Well, one of the things that we can say about America immediately is that stereotypes are easy. We all fall into these ideas of the media narrative about who black men are. Black men aren't there. Black men abandon their children. Black men aren't educated. But sometimes we need to ignore that media narrative and look at what actually exists in our neighborhood. Just like Panama was talking about the Black Father Stroller Brigade, every time I take my son to a soccer game or my daughter to her lacrosse games, I see tons of black fathers there on the sidelines, helping cheer, helping coach, bringing water to their children. So if you can ignore some of the things we see in the media and look at what you actually see around you, you'll see the parts that black men play in not only in their sons' lives, but in their daughters' lives as well. And I will also say this: sometimes we as black men don't toot our own horns enough on the things that we're doing. I will tell you, Panama has my mind going on that Black Father Stroller Brigade thing, because it actually show people what black fathers are out there doing. Sometimes when the police want to know you're there, they turn on every siren on their car so you can see where they are. Maybe that's what we should do as black men. This is what we're doing with this panel. We're saying, as black men, we're going to stand up and we're going to talk about the things that we are doing instead of just listening to the narrative of the things that we're not doing.
I think the time is now, and right. I think black fathers and black men, who've really sort of been bludgeoned over the past couple of years. And I mean, physically, we've, because of George Floyd and what we've been seeing with black men all across the media again, and the police encounters where black men end up dead as a result, as if, this is the crisis, which it is. But, and even I have to go far, because Jesse, you talked about lacrosse and soccer, but, and some people might say, well, that's a certain group of black men. But Panama, you and I see another group. They're the ones that are picking them up from school, like you said, daycare, and it's not a socioeconomic thing, right? So I'm rambling right now, but, jump in and just, kind of bring home the point of why this panel that you're doing is so important, and how people can actually tune in and get involved.
Yeah, I'll start. Yeah, I'll start that off. I mean, it's important to have these conversations in general, just because there are conversations that are happening in the community, whether we have a panel doing it or not, right? And we're the men involved are all active fathers in the lives of their kids, but most of the men that I know are active fathers in the lives of their kids, regardless of the regardless of any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I grew up around my family's from Alabama. There are people without a ton of money, but everybody was still present. The men are present. You know what I mean? So I think it's good to have these conversations and the ability to have these talks, just so you can see what men are talking and how we talk to one another and how we frame these conversations. Because the barbershop is the black man space. It's become that, right? It is the black man space. And listen, it is a place where you can hear the most ridiculous things on the planet and a defense of the most ridiculous things on the planet. And that's what makes it so entertaining and why it's such a coveted space. But it's also a place where you can hear black men talking about what matters to them, what matters to the community, their families, what they're doing with their families. You can see all that kind of stuff. I'll give you a real quick story about that. I just took my son to get a haircut last week, and he doesn't like getting a haircut. He's real squirmish about it. The barber in the barbershop full of black men turned on a kids movie for him just to keep him still so that he could get his haircut. And you know what? My son stopped, paid attention to the movie, started asking the barber questions. I'm like, this is a man who has kids, because he thought about, what can I do to get this kid? Exactly. We see that kind of engagement, that kind of interaction. Like, we get it, we understand it. So, these kind of talks are important because they just show what black men are already doing, but it allows us a wider stage for those people who may not get it. And I think that's kind of partly what Jesse had in mind with these kind of conversations, just putting a bullhorn, like he's talking about, and a spotlight on the things that we're already doing, but allowing us to toot our own horn a little bit.
The other challenge, though, is that, we always see a lot of black men on the corner. I mean, so much so, Jesse, it became a movie or series, The Corner. But that's also a very dangerous place a lot of times for black men. And people are always making the challenge where if black men are so great, why they keep killing each other. We talk about the police and the police killing black men. What about black men killing each other? How would you all respond to that?
Well, I'll just say quickly, it's not like we can't multitask. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah. And, my response to that is a response that I would have most times. Like, one group is intending to do me harm. One group is supposed to be stopping another group from doing me harm, right? And I hate the fact that if I'm sitting in a space where one guy has a gun at me and the police show up, that I don't know who's going to be the one to take me out. Like, that shouldn't be the case, right? One group is supposed to be protecting and serving, and that's an issue that we're having in our community where we don't have that faith and trust in a police force. You know what I mean? So, look, we have work to do in our own community to ensure that our community manages to succeed and thrive and sustain and maintain. But that does not mean that we cannot focus on a group that is supposed to be protecting and serving, that we pay for, that we pay with our tax dollars to exist in, and not come in and do harm just because of stereotypes that they're living and thriving upon. Like, just because of the way that you view a community doesn't mean you have to treat a community that way. So, look, black on black crime is a myth. We all know that. Crime is a thing, but black on black crime is a myth, right? And I think that it would do really well for individuals who work in places of law enforcement to really understand that people are people. We all want the same things, so treat us all like humanity should not be something you have to earn. You should start there. Right, you should start with humanity and allow people the dignity of their reality before you show up and take out little children and grown men who've done nothing more than stand in a place or just exist to begin with because of the color of their skin.
Well, I want to thank both of you all for being with us today. And I want you to just give one more shout out about the event that's going to happen on June 6th. Give us the details so that we can make sure that we can promote that to our viewers.
All right. As you see there on the flyer, the event is going to be June 6th at 3 p.m. You can go to bit.ly/bsuperherodad to register, or you can follow us on Facebook Live at author at Jesse J. Holland, where we'll be there live on June 6th.
All right. Sherry asked if we could put that in the comments so that we could share it also. And I hope that you all break the internet.
Thank you.
We'll do our best.
The black men signing on. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a happy and safe weekend.
You too.
You too.
All righty. Okay, this brings us to the end of another edition of WIN TV. We're so happy that you all were able to join us. Again, remember to follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, go to WashingtonInformer.com and sign up for our e-blast, but just continue to tune in on Fridays, every Friday at noon, where we hope to bring you news you can use. Now stay tuned for WI Bridge and the media prints with what's happening in DC, as well as sounds of the DMV. This is Denise Rollard Barnes. I'll see you next week.
Nation's capital, Maryland and Virginia, it's that time again. New wins for the Washington Wizards, new shows coming to TV, and the new era cap that has the city in an uproar. Here are the top 12 trending topics of the city. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what's going on, DC. Hey, it's your boy, the Media Prince, and you know what time it is. First up, starting June 1st, the default speed limit on local roads in the district would be 20 miles per hour. And at this speed, it's best to just walk. How do you feel about this, DC? And you know, with this comes 100 new cameras, just all random. Sulin's own Baby Nino links up with A$AP Rocky. Take a look. Have you seen the new era cap for DC? Take a quick look now. Now, the critics aren't happy about this new cap, stating that it could have been better and is glizzied out. DMV's own IDK for Christian Dior. Take a quick look. DMV's own Wanda Sykes has a new show on Netflix with our favorite comedian Mike Epps. And you know he calls DC his cousin state. Take a look now.
I'm trying to step my daddy game up.
I will take all the help I can get.
When have I ever let you down?
Look, Benny, it's your baby mama.
I gotta be there for Regina.
Wale with a new picture and a caption that says loading. Could we be expecting new music? We'll definitely keep you posted if so. Now, unfortunately, Real Housewives of DC sucked so bad it only existed for one season. But to our relief, DC, the Real Housewives of Potomac has been keeping our culture alive. In fact, here is a peek of the new season. Hi, Karen. Hi, Candace.
One thing you learn about living in Potomac, it's a town of smoke and mirrors. You never know who you can trust.
The Washington Wizards are officially in the playoffs. Now that is a freaking celebration. Can we add the clap effect, please? So we have been talking about June Sanders and the New Balance DC 992s. We'll take a look at the official commercial featuring recording artist Mike D'Angelo. Congratulations are in order to two ladies we spoke on last week, DC's own Taraji P. Henson and Tracy Jade. Well, their Facebook talk show, Peace of Mind with Taraji, has just been nominated for an Emmy. Let's add another applause, can we? We are winning, DMV. It's a Flow Band announces their performance at the Kennedy Center. And the Washingtonian just let us know the beloved DC Wharf restaurant, Del Mar, has been forced to shut down after staff walked out due to toxic management, racial bias, and bad tipping. Now come on, y'all. This is not the time to be making your employees mad. Hey, restaurants, listen up. Your employees are the most valuable thing you have in your company. This just in, aside from there being not one but two types of cicadas out here, we also have to watch out because they do pee on you. So if you think there's a little bit of rain, nah, that might be cicada pee. So watch out, DC. Again, I'm your boy, the Media Prince, and this was another episode of What's Going On DC. For all this and more, head over to wibridgedc.com. And remember on social media to follow the hashtags WGODC and WIBridge TMP style for all the latest looks. Now, go have yourself a great weekend. Until next week.
Clientele, USA Hottie, The Bridge, yo, Uptown USA. They threw my OG in the yard. He served life twice, he came back and said he met God. The beast ate all of his sons. He dropped down and off a salon. Yeah, food gold, Madeline charm. The empire bearing his arms. Yo, what will we have in the morning? Timing is essential. My mind been on my mental. Grinding to the gristle. Making moves is not an issue. We've been making plays for 40 days. Out of bounds, we got a whistle. Endless crimes we won't admit to. In a Cinco feeling presidential. Cornerstones of residential. That's what we into. Mad men at the heli tempo attack with the mean swoop. Stay down at all costs. Even when you feel like flying away. We made room for today. You'd assume I would say Uptown USA be the creme brulee while you stream the boule. I'm a quarter water plausible author, remarkable slaughter. The Parker was Nautica, overcame the pressure, overcame depression, overstand the game, overcast my rain. Prayers are the essence. My work ain't much, so blessed. That grotto effervescence we all got up inside us. Been some time since you rider. I'm inclined to believe that clientele gon' win the title. Eiffels, rifles, Bibles, and all that. You seem to think your life was heightened, Christ and before rap. Price and Tyson, we gon' ice Tyson it more than likely. 2021 clientele shit. Yeah. He served life twice. He came back and said he met God. The beast ate all of his sons. He dropped down and off a salon. Yeah. Fool's gold, melanin charms. The empire's bearing his arms. What will we have in the morning? Yeah. I would say living in DC has affected the music I create. I would say by number one being my number one muse. Just growing up here during the Chocolate City time. There's just a lot to take from it. And you know, we got a lot of cultural influences, icons, figures, and it's hard for that not to rub off on you. So I would say for one, the people, you know, the way we talk, the way we dress, the things we into, the trends we set, all that is affecting my music. One of my favorite eras in DC was like 2006. You know, it was a lot of like Bohemian Caverns, U Street, a lot of just local indie rappers coming out, doing their thing. Obviously Desmond, you know what I'm saying, leading the wave with that. My audience, smart girls. That's it. That's all I want listening to my music. It's like, nah, I'm joking. But educated people like to think. You know, it's a true and every joke, but definitely people who looking to elevate and not just looking to hear beats. You know, listen, they look for lyrics and stuff like that. So coming out June 2021, Love Story. It's gonna be a two-part, like an EP. It's gonna be 2 EPs, but yeah, that's coming out June. I'm on Instagram at Hadi Shakur, HADISHAKUUR. Follow Los Clientele, that's the label, and yeah, appreciate y'all.